Well, this is day 5. We're halfway through the run. And man, what a day this has been. Started off with a beautiful worship service. I texted back home and I told them it was a powerful service, anointed service. And, you know, one of the highlights for me is to get to sing Amazing Grace. But before we done that, you know, Keith O'Neill did a tremendous job of fighting the odds and working with no sound, and did some music with his trumpet. And it was really blessed. And then Ox just delivered a word that only Ox could have delivered. And the guys and the gals here on Run for the Wall really responded. What a blessing it was. And then as we sang Amazing Grace, and to watch those guys and gals, a lot of them don't ever go to church. And to watch them have their hand up or have a tear running down their face. And one of them told me, you know, every time I sing that song or I hear that song, gets to that part where it talks about wretched, what it said, it messes me up. He said, but after I had a little trouble, Ox had prayer with me, and he said, I'm okay, it was a good mess up. So I'm telling you, it was a powerful service. And then we just had several testimonies, and I put a couple of them on the written report I'd like for you to read. But I've asked Mark Richardson, he's a pastor of Siler City, North Carolina. He's out here on the run with us. And he had a story that I want him to tell you right now. So, Mark, why don't you tell us the story?
Gary, we rode into Colorado City yesterday, and my scooter is kind of a homemade scooter. It's put together out of a lot of different pieces, and it's a conversation piece. I don't have time to explain the story, but we rode into Colorado City, and I noticed my fuel pump was leaking, and it was pouring gas out. And I pulled over to the right, and man, a guy that just fits the bill for an M25, kind of a throwback guy, and he was a veteran, came over and he said, can I help you? And I said, well, I don't really know what I've got going on. And he said, well, I'll help you anyway. And come to find out, the fuel pump, the seam in it is leaking fuel. And he says, you know, I've got a fuel pump at home that I took off of my 650 Yamaha. I don't ride anything like a 650 Yamaha, but he says, I'll run home and get it. I said, great, man. I'm thinking we'll tie strap it on. We'll get it on any way we can. And come to find out, his bike had been sitting for a while, and this fuel pump, he had taken it off 3 years earlier. Thought that was the problem. It ended up being carburetors. He brings it back and hands it to me, and it is an identical fit to my Suzuki Intruder. We take a couple of screws out, put it right on, and I'm back on the road running. It is amazing that maybe God was trying to get me there 3 years earlier, but I'm glad the guy hung on to the fuel pump until I got there, because it sure kept me on the run. God's on time, and he's good.
Amen. I just wanted y'all to hear this story by Mark, and there's just things like that happening out here all the time. God's fingerprint, well, I always call it his thumbprint, is all over what we're doing. Stay in touch with us, read our post, follow our blog. Love you. Thank you so much for following us. Have a good night.